Balayla hu 1965 Tafshin Chaf Hei. And we're holding Hey, Yud Gimel, right? Found that Shmuel?
Yeah.
Yes. V'yesh la'isif b'omru le'el. So we learned there's two Purushim yesterday. We mentioned there's two interpretations of what is Balayla hu and one is Noded Oshnas HaMelech. And if one is leading to the other, right? There's one way that there was darkness, and there's revelation of Balayla. There was concealment of Balayla hu, and there was a revelation of Noded Oshnas HaMelech. The king's sleep was disturbed and interrupted, right? And he was tossing from one side to the other, can't sleep. And then there is another interpretation that we mentioned that because of the concealment of Balayla hu, there was a revelation of Noded Oshnas HaMelech. That's a different level, meaning one led to the other. According to the first interpretation, there is a revelation of Noded Oshnas HaMelech, and it happened that there was concealment, and so the Noded Oshnas HaMelech coming from such source that it reveals that it can even such intense darkness of it. It's not only Laila, it's not only dark, it's not only concealed, but it's also Ahu. You don't even say which night it was. So it's a revelation of Noded Oshnas HaMelech, and therefore it was able to transform that darkness as well. Let's read, hey, v'yesh la'isif b'omru le'el. Shelo yizu b'vad sha'agil d'Noded Oshnas HaMelech nimshach b'layla hu. Not only the revelation of Noded Oshnas HaMelech came into, or was drawn into Balayla hu, was drawn into the concealment itself. She'einu ma'ilem olav, obviously that Balayla would not conceal this type of revelation. That's what we mentioned yesterday. And the Laila itself arouses the revelation of Noded Oshnas HaMelech. So it says in order to fully understand that, we have to preface with an explanation. There are 4 levels. This day, Yemahu, that day. Again, Yemazeh is the ultimate revelation. It's today, and it's this one. And Yemahu, it's Vayemahu Yeh Hashem Echad U'Shmo Echad. On that day, Hashem will be one, and His name will be one. Which day? I don't know. Day of Mashiach. When is the day of Mashiach? We don't know. So there's a concept of concealment, darkness. I don't know when it's going to happen. So anytime you see Ahu, Bayoim Ahu, Hu Amar, Hu Allah, Hu Asa, we don't know who did it. Who said Hu Amar? He said Hu Amar, so and so. He said this and that. You don't know who am I talking about? So Ahu, Yom Ahu, it's Gilui, because you have a Yom, it's daytime. But it's Lashon Nista. It's still the expression is concealing, right? Then you have Laila Hazeh. Laila Hazeh is also concealment. Laila, it's concealment, but it's tonight. So you say tonight you have concealment. Finish with the night, it's over. So you have a day on it. You put a time on it. Laila Hazeh So Laila, it's concealment, but Zeh is revelation. So you have, it's not so bad, meaning you have concealment, but it's not so bad. We will call it a concealment, but not a complete concealment, because it's Laila Zeh. And then you have a Laila Hahu. A Laila Hahu is Esther Koful. It's concealment that is double and triple concealment. V'shorsha v'bechinas Ein Sof l'maylo maylo ad en kates l'mato mato ad en tachlis. And they're rooted, Shorsha, meaning the root of these 4 levels, of Ayem Hazeh, Ayem Ahu, Lailo Hazeh, Lailo Ahu. These 4 levels are connected, are rooted in the Ein Sof. That is l'maylo ad en kates, it's way above any limitations. Or l'mato mato ad en tachlis. And its capability is in revealing itself in places that there's no end. There's nothing lower than that, but it still can reveal itself even there. Shashir the Yom. Where's the root, the source of day? When we say Yom, we mean revelation, because Yom is time of light. Shashir the Yom. Where is the source of day? The roots of day, who b'chinas she'er and sof u'lamaylo ad en kates. It's from the b'china, from the level of Ein Sof. There is no bounds. She'er Ein Sof u'lamaylo ad en kates. Being elevated to a place that there's no bounds. V'b'china she'er sof u'lamaylo ad en kates. That level, that Ein Sof, has no limitations. He be'emek uve'ilui yosem ha'bechina she'yotzof u'lamata ad en tachlis. He says now he makes a distinction. When we say Ein Sof l'maylo ad en kates, says it's one level. And we say the level of Ein Sof l'mata ad en tachlis, meaning they can go up to know L'maylo, meaning it's superior, it's supreme to no ends. It's one level. And it can go down with no limitation. It's a different level. We know that the source of darkness, of concealment, is higher than the root of revelation. What is more valuable to you? Available information or hidden information?
Hidden.
Right. Immediately. Right?
Treasure.
Same thing. Same thing over here. It says if it's day, if it's revelation, it's coming from one level. But if it's concealed, it's coming from a higher level. So far we see that Laila is greater than Yom. Because Yom is revelation. And Laila is concealment. So now we're seeing that Lamata ad en tachlis is not as high as, and now we see that Lamayla ad en kates is greater than Lamata ad en tachlis. We know the root of concealment is higher than the root of Gilui, than the root of revelation. He says also an interesting explanation to this. He says because the nature of light is to shine, right? We're saying l'maylo ad en kates. Ein Sof, light of Ein Sof, meaning the revelation of Ein Sof is l'maylo ad en kates. It goes up to no bounds, meaning it's concealing itself, it's distancing itself, so to speak, from us, right? And lamato ad en tachlis, meaning go down, comes down to us, to no end. Now, if it goes up, it's against its nature or it's part of its nature?
Part, I think. No?
Think of what Oyer Ein Sof. Oyer is a revelation.
Yeah.
So it's coming to us, revealing to us. But if it's now ascending on high, it's against his nature. because its nature is to reveal itself. Saying Lamaila and Kate, it goes up higher and higher and higher. Very nice, but what does it do for us? That it has that capability. So since it has that capability, it's more, and when it's acting upon it, it's more of a chidush. It's more of a novelty, a change. It's not something that you would say it's within the nature of light to go higher and higher and higher.
So it means that Hashem wants to appear, but He conceals it. Itself?
For now, it means to us that Ur and Soif, that goes Lamailo, is higher because of that chidush, because that seemingly it's against its nature. Because its nature is to reveal itself, but instead, it becomes more concealed and more concealed and more concealed. Now we're going to see why, we're going to explain why the Shirish, the root of Gilui, and the root of Elam, the source of concealment, and why the source of concealment is higher than the source of Gilui. Okay? Why in their DNA, in their root, Elam is greater than Gilui, concealment greater than revelation.
Elam is Olam, same Shorish.
Yeah.
Olam.
Olam is also a concept of concealment. In the time of Kriyas Yamsuf, what did the Jewish people say? Ze Keli Vanveu. They said, this is my God, and I will beautify him, I will glorify him. So, remember we said, Ayoim Hazeh, that's the ultimate Gilui, right? So, we see in Kriyas Yamsuf, because of the splitting of the sea, they have the ultimate revelation of godliness. So what do they say? Zeh, this is it. When you say Ahu, it means you're not true. On that day, something happened, but I don't know which day, what exactly happened. I have a revelation that I have Yom, right?
Also Pesach.
Right. Right. We know in Kabbalah and Chassidus, שבכלולוס היורס הנמשוך מלמיילו shoyosh over choizer. So it's written in Kabbalah and Chassidus that you have two different lights, two different energies. In general, there's two different energies. One is called Or Yosho, and one is called Or Choizer. Or Yosho is a light that comes down, meaning a straight light, and Or Choizer is a reciprocating light. Is almost like if you can picture light that is being blocked by a wall. So once the light hits the wall, it bounces back, right?
Reflection.
So that reflection is called Or Choizer. Okay?
Yosher, I thought Yosher means rich.
No.
Ashir.
Yeah, no, Yosher is straight.
Okay.
If you replace the Yud with an Ayin, you get to reach.
Okay.
Yeah. So, Ur Yosho, now we're going to explain them. Ur Yosho, Wa'ir Shemer Melamai Lamata.
Get rich, do the straight thing.
A straight light, a godly light. It's a light that shines from above down. Meaning it comes from the upper worlds till this world, this lower world. And its light is like the light of the sun that shines and therefore reveals the sun. And the Or Yosher is also called Yom because it's revelation. It's revealing itself. Representing revelation, representing light. והוא עניין מה שאר אינסוף הוא למטה מטה עד אין תכלס. And that's when you say Or Yosher, it's like we mentioned in Ein Sof the two levels of Lamala Mala and Lamata Mata. So Lamala Mala is the Or Yosher. Lamata Mata is the Or Yosher that it comes down. כמו שהתבאר לעיל, as explained before, המשך ההילולה, which is a group of Chassidic discourses that were given to print after the passing of the Rabbi Rayatz, the previous Rabbi. Boselegani Yud Shvat. In Boselegani of Yud Shvat, he explained this concept. שהוא עניין התפשטות האור אלוקי עד למטה מטה. So what is Or Yashar? Is the expansion of godly light ad lamata mata, until the lowest of the lowest of places. The Or Chozer, and the reciprocating light, or the bouncing light, ומש על ידי עבודת האדם בעולם למטה, באופן של הלם והסתר ומיצר, צרה ואקטה, נמשך מבחינה דלמעלה מעלה עד אין קץ. שמצד כוח הגבורה והצמצום וההלם שבכללותו נקרא בשם לילה, הפך האור והגילוי. So what is Or Chozer? The reciprocating light. It's what comes through Avodat Adam, the work of man. Through his work in this world, and how does he serve God? Be'ofen shel alem ve'ester u'mitzar, is constrained, concealment, it's hidden. He has tzara ve'akta, in Aramaic is suffering. Nimshach, because of his work, despite all of this adversities, what comes down? Nimshach, from Hashem, a godly light from a higher source. Or Yashar is one way, coming from one source. But you overcame all the different issues that you had, still served Hashem despite all the concealments. You're able now to tap into a light that is greater than Or Yashar. And this light is called Or Chozer. נמשך מהבחינה דלמעלה מעלה עד אין קץ. The Or Yashar is למטה מטה, עד אין תכלית. Ein Sof that comes down. And Or Chozer is למעלה מעלה עד אין קץ. And that light was able to, you produced that light because of your work. You generated that light. שמצד כוח הגבורה והצמצום וההלם, this light comes from the power of severities, of contraction and concealment, שכללותו נקרא בשם לילה, that in general this light is called night.
What a game.
הפך האור והגילוי, and the opposite of revelation. The opposite of light. And when you serve Hashem, he writes mitoch dochak v'tzar, meaning that you are oppressed, it's not easy, it's not comfortable. You're able to draw down this light. What's so special? What are you going to get from it? Chol zeh, ולפי שתכלית הבריאה הוא בבירור. Why do we tap into Or Chozer through adversity, and the regular light that comes from above is Or Yashar? Why shouldn't Hashem give us straight the Or Chozer? Why He wants us to work,
Effort.
and then we can tap into Or Chozer. כל זה, why through Avodah we are bringing Or Chozer? ולפי שתכלית הבריאה הוא בבירור. What is the purpose of בריאה? תכלית הבריאה בבירור. What does it mean בבירור? What does it mean בירור? That our job is to separate the good from the bad and elevate the bad. Elevate the good and negate the bad.
Get rid of it.
תכלית הבריאה בבירור, separating good from bad and elevating it to Kedusha. And what is Berur? We write the Berur Hamata Davka, specifically the Mata, the lower one. שהרי נשמה לא ירדה למטה כדי לתקן את עצמה. Listen carefully, the neshama didn't come down to rectify its own self.
To
That's
rectify
not
what?
Didn't or did?
I'm going to read again. שהרי הנשמה, so I said, listen carefully, שהרי הנשמה לא ירדה למטה כדי לתקן את עצמה. Why?
She's
It
fixing.
didn't come here to rectify itself. Why? כי בהיותה למעלה, קודם הירידה, before the neshama came down, לא היה בנשמה שום פגם הדורש תיקון. The neshama itself did not have any blemish that required תיקון. אלא, כדי לתקן את הגוף ונפש הבעמים. So the neshama came down to elevate the body and the nefesh. What is the nefesh? It's a level of the neshama that is called the animalistic soul. Nefesh HaBe'amit. Doesn't say the guf HaBe'amit is one thing. But the nefesh HaBe'amit we learned in Tanya is what gives life to the body, right? The vitalizing soul, nefesh HaChiyunit, which is called in Tanya, is the nefesh HaBe'amit. It's the animalistic soul.
Why we need to come here? To
שעל
fix?
ידי זה,
Why here? Why Hashem didn't fix?
because
Upstairs.
the body is physical. The body has to be, the body is a physical,
Why do you bother with the whole thing?
the body is physical.
You need to make a
So
world.
you have to be in a physical world. You have to be in a place where it could thrive and survive. And where the body there's no bodies in the upper world. In the higher world, there's neshama. That's it. אלא כדי לתקן את הגוף ונפש הבעמית וחלקו בעולם. So we have three things over here. גוף, נפש הבעמית, and חלקו בעולם. What is חלקו בעולם?
Chelk.
Yeah, if God puts a Jew in a specific place, it's not a coincidence. Why Boca Raton? Why not Deerfield? Why not Del Rey? Why not so many options? Just around you, even if you like Florida, you can argue I like Florida. Why in Boca? And if we put you in Boca, why not in Central Boca? Why not in East Boca? Why not in Woodfield?
It's because of you.
Why not in St. Andrews?
It's easy to answer.
Why did he put me here? Not, maybe I would be better off in Woodfield.
Man, I'd have to move to Woodfield.
We'd still come over here. right?
Woodfield Country Club.
No matter where we were, we'd come over here.
So why?
Paul drives 100 miles.
On the corner of Jog and
John.
Oh, it's all in the
I mean,
Okay, well, whatever. I don't know what's there.
why did Hashem do? We'll never know.
I'm just giving an example.
Yeah.
I know.
We know it.
I just don't know all these places.
Yeah.
I go from 10th Street Village here to the Winn-Dixie.
שעל ידי זה,
Until he goes away on vacation, then he's in California, New Jersey, Toronto, Idaho. This guy's all over.
I just go to, so my wife doesn't
So,
have
but how do you know places?
שעל ידי זה, so these three things, body, animalistic, soul, and חלקו בעולם. חלקו בעולם is the specific part that is in, specific place. Why does it say עניי עירך קודמים? So a person wants to give tzedakah. So who should I give tzedakah to? So many different places. Why should I give tzedakah to A, not to B, not to C? The Torah says עניי עירך קודמים, which means עניי עירך is your family. Somebody from your family needs something. You need first the obligation to help him, right? You helped him. He's good. Thank God your family all doing well. Who should you give tzedakah to now?
Your cousins and
Yeah.
also family.
Baruch Hashem, your family is fine. So who do you give tzedakah? So you have to give to the place that you are in. If you live in, remember, I had when I was in Thailand, there was a businessman he was built a factory in Chiang Mai in the north of Thailand, and his factory was only doing princess cut for diamonds. So they took diamonds and they do this specific cut, and they specialize in that cut, and that's what they produced all day, all night. There were workers round the clock making princess cut diamond. So he asked his rabbi, who should he give maaser from his money that he makes from the factory in Chiang Mai? So there's no Jews in Chiang Mai. So his rabbi told him, his rabbi, which was not Chabad, he told him, I'm sure there's Chabad there, you should give them money. So this guy built the Chabad house in Chiang Mai. He built it. First we used to rent a place, he bought the place, he bought books and everything. Came from, because the Anir Chakodmin said, your bracha comes from this place, There's a chelko ba'olam. There's got to be something that your neshama, the nefesh abamit, is something there.
Connection.
Yeah, has a connection with that place, and that place needs to have Torah also. And then you elevate the sparks that went into that place. Found themselves in the border of Cambodia. The sparks. Why in Cambodia? Who knows?
Where Chiang Mai is on the border is not.
Chiang Mai is in the triangle. Is the border of Cambodia, Laos, and Vietnam.
You got pictures from there, so.
You went there to Vietnam?
I lived there in Chiang Mai for maybe 6-7 months.
That's when you lost a lot of weight too, right? You eat cans of tuna, just eat matzo.
I never carried the burden. I never carried a lot of weight.
You sweat off all your weight.
Okay.
So what you're basically saying are that God put you where you are
Because that's where the sparks that you need.
because the body, not the neshama.
No, you
The
have
body needs it.
you have the three parts. You have the body.
The nefesh and
You have it says the guf, the nefesh ba'amit, and chelko ba'olam.
Okay.
So a body is your body needs to be worked with, and the body needs to be elevated. You're taking something that is, the Zohar says mishchad chivya, the serpent snake, and you elevating it, using it for kedusha. That you can do anywhere. And no, wherever you are, you're working with yourself, you're working with the body. And then you have the nefesh ba'amit. Nefesh ba'amit is not something tangible. It's your animalistic soul.
Animalistic soul, okay.
Right, and the animalistic soul, you're working with that as well. And then you have chelko ba'olam, the part that you specifically, Hashem places you in that part in the world. You have to elevate that surrounding. So really you sum it up to two things. You have the work that needs to be done with yourself, nefesh ba'amit included, and chelko ba'olam, and the part where Hashem places you, and that very place has godly sparks that you need to pick up, no one else. You have an obligation to pick it up. And if someone ignores his surroundings, says, "Oh, this I'm going to choose to go. I live here. I'll take from here, but I'm going to give that." He's not doing chelko ba'olam.
And when you move,
You move. So
But it's only related with
now you
tzedakah.
basically are,
yeah, some people, if they move and they still feel connection with the place, they maintain the relationship with the place. Some people not, but chelko ba'olam is where you're at.
But it's only connected with tzedakah.
But as I mentioned before, it does not make sense today, and especially in our times, that people can almost work from anywhere, can be anywhere they want. And when they choose to be in a certain place, it says in Tehillim, David HaMelech says, "Me'Hashem mitzadei gever konanu," meaning that the steps that you make, especially geographical steps, that you choose to be in this place, that place, it's all from Hashem. Why would Hashem put somebody in this very place? You know, and it's amazing that you can have people living in your neighborhood, and your neighbors, and you never see them, you don't know them. Meaning, and the fact that even within a place, that within this place there is also some kind of a community of people that you know from that specific place, and Hashem make sure that you meet that specific people. It's all hashgacha pratit. Why do you know him and not another guy?
definitely, I believe in that 110%.
So that's chelko ba'olam. That's
I met
his.
someone 20 years ago, big doctor, cardiologist, and we basically stayed friends. And as I'm going through what I'm going right now, this person from 20 years ago who lives in Boston still, okay,
Wow.
is advising me of what to do, which I would never have done, you know. And I said to my wife yesterday, what you're just saying exactly, I said there is a reason why God made me meet this person
exactly.
and maintain relation. You know, meeting, okay, you know, you met him, fine, see you later. But to maintain a relationship over 20 some years, and it's paying off right now. So I understand that this is basically was arranged by God from 20 years ago. Me too.
But what is not arranged by God?
What?
Everything is
Well,
arranged
that's
by
exactly what my wife says. She says
God.
everything.
Everything is arranged by God. You're
Everything.
here, you're there, you wake up.
Right. But
Everything.
I got the opposite problem.
but what is
Hashem
expected?
Took 1,000 people out of my life. Like,
But what is
get
That's
rid of all
for you,
these
but for
garbage.
you to be able
כל
to...
מן השמיים, חוץ מיראת שמיים, ומה הכל נכתב, עד שלא בא מלמעלה, שום דבר לא נעשה.
But you need to basically understand
And embrace it.
נכון? Embrace it, absolutely.
You know?
That's it, embrace it.
It's very difficult sometimes because sometimes bad things happen, and it's why?
Why?
But sometimes the bad things are really basically are
Made for the
The
good
good
things.
things.
make up for the good things.
That's what I
You
said.
know, they
1,000
create-
people
they
left
are
my
the-
life.
They are
I
the
don't ever have any
path-
luck.
they are the path sometimes for the good things.
Right.
Exactly, one of them,
You
9/11.
realize that later on.
Right. Sometimes. But
9/11, somebody
Because
staying
we're
on a
not
bus.
smart. I'm telling you, we are not smart. We are nothing. You know, we think for the moment. We think right now. We don't think about the whole big picture, looking into the box.
He was very
But when
angry,
you look
somebody.
into the box and you see what happened to you and you follow it, and then all of a sudden, if you're smart, you realize why. And that's
We don't see it with our eyes, but there's actually a video game a couple of years ago that you had to physically walk through different places to do different checkpoints and things like that. And people are walking around everywhere. And it's like this for augmented reality thing where you can see it with your phone, but you can't see it. So there's this concept of there's all these sparks that are all over the world, and you have to physically go there to catch it and get it. Like but you don't see it with your eye, but you see all these people standing in the corner with it was a few years
Like
ago.
Pokemon.
Yeah, and anyways, it's like a similar concept spiritually, but now with augmented reality, it's even more real than ever.
9/11, a wife of somebody telling the story about her husband works on the twin buildings. He's taking the bus every time. This time, the bus came 3 times full. 3 times he missed the bus. And he's going crazy. I'm going to be late to work. This is how she tells
you
the
complain
story.
to God. Right then and then.
And he was late
Come
for
on.
3 buses. And guess what? Buildings went down. And now he said, now I know. He was late because he went to Slihot. Slihot. He was late. And now he says, now I know why I was late. And now I know why I missed 3 buses. Because the buildings went down.
So, amazing story. It says, שעל ידי זה נעשה בירור הניצוצות שנפלו למטה בשבירת הכלים. Now, by doing his part, his חלקו בעולם, his specific part, is able to elevate these specific sparks that descended below. בשבירת הכלים. שבירת הכלים is, in 2 words, we know that Hashem, before creating the world, He had the world of Tohu. It says everything was Tohu Vavo, Choshech al Pnei Tehom. It describes in the book of Bereshit. So, Olam HaTohu, it says that the world of Tohu had lots of light and very small vessels. And once the light comes in contact with the vessels broke. Yeah, so the concept of itkalelut, of being blended together, does not exist with Tohu. It only exists with Tikkun. Tikkun, the lights are not too strong, and the vessels are able to contain the light. But if there is a revelation that is above the vessel, causes the breakage of the vessel. For example, individual, we are a kli, we're perceiving things that we see from outside. Imagine God exposes you to something that you're unable to see.
Break.
Right? What happens? People become crazy. If someone is a witness to something that is incapable of seeing. Say you have a brain surgeon that does surgeries every day. His mind, his eyes, is capable of seeing what he's seeing. But take another person. Maybe you would faint. Can you see blood? Ask you can't see blood. And then that's on one level. And then you can have a guy that, imagine Hashem would show you someone that already passed away. How would you be able to handle it?
Wow.
Would you be able to handle it or not? So if that means it's a revelation tohu, meaning it's too big for my vessels to contain it. Right?
Wow.
Same, just to explain what the idea of tohu. So what happened once these two come together? Imagine the electricity from the power plant comes together with your iPhone. Usually it's being contracted and funneled into 110, but instead you connected to 3,000 or who knows how many frieds on the spot. So that's what happened. And Shvirat HaKeli, meaning the vessels shattered all over the place, and there's godly sparks everywhere. But there's godly sparks that are connected with my specific neshama. My neshama has these specific sparks that I need to touch, that I need to refine, need to elevate. And your neshama and his neshama, everyone has specific parts, and that's why Hashem places us in different places. It says, tzedakah asa Hashem liYisrael shepizran ben haumot. Hashem did tzedakah with us. It's not we're saying the Churban, the Galut. Right, there is a negative aspect to that, but there's also a positive aspect to the Hashem Pizran. Hashem scattered us all over so we can elevate all the sparks that are associated with the places that we are involved in. Especially
when you do a good deed there.
Right, the good deeds, Torah, Tefillah. It says, if I remember the Shaliach in Thailand, he said one time that there was some bad weather and the airplane he was flying somewhere and the airplane needed to land in Germany. He said, why would God send me now from all over the places to Germany? So he was in the airport, he finds another Jew in the airport, he puts tefillin on that Jew, and he goes on to the next flight. He said, he sent me here to put tefillin on another guy. Causes another Jew to...
for you to even to pray,
right.
you individually.
Yeah, you also...
I go to Brazil, I used to, I don't go anymore. And I would go, some God-forsaken places, 900 kilometers away from civilization.
Para.
I'm telling you, nothingness. And I'm standing over there and I'm praying, putting on tefillin, and I said to myself,
this place needed
I'm
me.
doing something over here that needs to be done because God sent me here to do it. Or if you're in the ocean on a cruise, and you're praying,
right.
I'm sure nobody has ever been in that spot ever.
That's exactly over that water.
Exactly.
And now more than
impossible.
ever, before
It
people
hits you,
couldn't
and you
travel.
think, why
Right.
did I just think that nobody's ever been
video
here?
yesterday of a first girl
I've
that
had
went around
magic
the whole world to every
happen.
country
Rocket
in like a
nobody
year
does
or
this.
less.
Wow.
And so you have people like this all the time putting travel videos online, traveling all around the world where people, maybe one time they could get around the world before.
Right.
Now all these souls that are around
In your
today,
lifetime you
they've
can
gone
do
everywhere
you
so
can
many
do
times.
it 10, 20 times.
Yeah, I've gone like 7 or 8 times around the
Right,
world.
you see?
It's like, but you couldn't. It wasn't possible before the plane, before everything. It was
Right.
impossible. You couldn't.
And as the plane will get faster and faster, we'll be able to do it even quicker.
I know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
ובשביל זה יש צורך בעבודה באופן של הגיעה דווקא. So since we are dealing with sparks that were now embedded in klipa, are covered up. It's like when you get diamonds, when you find them in the rough, they have a lot of work that needs to be done until you get the diamond out. The same idea with godly sparks. You have to find them, remove all the dirt, polish it, and it comes out. So it has to be avodah, it has to be work. ובשביל זה יש צורך בעבודה באופן של יגיעה, יגעת ומצאת, right? דווקא. You have to work, to toil, וכמו בשני אופני עבודה נזכרים לעיל. There is עבודה, the all דרך ארץ, all Torah. So different עבודות. All דרך ארץ is you you're working in the world, you're doing your job, and then you're doing it properly, you're elevating the sparks. And there's also all Torah, that you're taking the burden of Torah, the yoke of Torah upon yourself, and through the Torah you're elevating. The all derech eretz ve'ol Torah, שעל ידי שניהם, through the combination of both, all Torah and all derech eretz, נעשה תכלית שליחות הנשמה בעלמא דין. Able to accomplish תכלית שליחות הנשמה בעלמא דין. the ultimate purpose of why the neshama came into this world, if you can combine all the recheretz and all Torah, meaning that you involve with the world. If someone says, "En li ela Torah," meaning I only have Torah, we said even Torah en lo, right? But if you're able to engage in the world, all the recheretz and all Torah,
Can you have
both of them,
Can you have
then
the
it's
tenets without Torah?
something is missing. There's always something is missing.
Yeah, that's a
It-
good answer. Can
no,
you have derech eretz without all Torah?
It says, I learned that it's never going to be complete. It says, Lo am haaretz chasid. Lo am haaretz chasid, meaning that am haaretz, someone that doesn't learn Torah, can never be a chasid. What is a chasid? Chasid is someone that mitchasedim kono, someone that is pious, someone that going the extra mile, doing more than he has to. To be a chasid, according to its simple meaning, you have to have also chokhmah, you also have to have the Torah. There's obviously, we know in the Sukkot, we said each one represents something else. So the one that has the Torah and doesn't have Maasim Tovim, he has a good smell, but he doesn't have a good taste. If you know to have a good smell and a good taste, you have to have both, mitzvot and Torah. You don't have to learn Torah if you're working 10 hours a day, but people have at least 8 free hours every day. If you wake up at even if you wake up at 7 o'clock and you go to work from 8 to 5, what do you do from 6 to 9, 6 to 10? So everyone have time. The question is what they want to do with the time.
But if you contribute to other people to study, does that qualify you as being?
It does qualify you, but
Chassidic.
that if you can take, if you don't have the capability of learning, but if God gave you the gift that your mind can handle learning, then they'll ask you, why didn't you learn? And we're not going to ask you, why didn't you learn 20 hours a day, but they'll ask you,
10 minutes.
Kavat haitim la Torah. You set up 10 minutes every day. And kviut is the kviut benefesh, meaning that it's the same way you're eating breakfast every day, you're learning Torah every day. Even if you're eating breakfast for 5 minutes, you're learning Torah for 5 minutes, but it's every single day. In the morning, you set up a time, and if it didn't work that day, you will later fix it, meaning you're going to learn. You say, oh, I didn't learn this morning, I'm going to learn now because I missed this morning. That's
So
kviut.
why did they say if you contribute to yeshiva, it's as if they're studying?
No, because you're getting the zchut also.
No,
But
it's
the
not-
effect of the Torah on you personally, what happens when we learn Torah? The wisdom of
So you
God,
get the zchut, but you don't get the actual.
the actual learning is for you, and Hashem wants your mind to analyze what Abaye said, why did Abaye say it, why Rava said it, and it changes the person.
But Zachary say that if you're going to tell upstairs that if you don't have time any day, maybe it's possible, they're going to ask you about the weekends.
No, the Gemara says clearly that if someone argues that he was poor and didn't have time to bring Hillel, it was more poor than anybody else and he didn't have time to learn. If you say that I was wealthy and I had a lot of businesses, didn't have time to bring Rabbi Yehuda Anasi, that was very wealthy, or Rabbi Elazar ben Charsom. And then what are you going to say? Rabbi Elazar ben Charsom had learned Torah and he had thousands of boats and thousands of buildings and thousands of whatever you had, he had 1,000 times more. And he's there every time somebody comes and he says I was wealthy and I didn't have time to learn. They bring Rabbi Elazar, come.
It's a high standard.
It's a very high standard. But so again, we're bringing it into a practical way. It's a setting up time. And the best thing is to do it with someone. Like you set up time to learn with someone else, it's a commitment, right? If I wouldn't be learning with you, they say, well, one day it doesn't work out, my wife needs me, I got to do this, I got to do that, and you forget. When you have chavruta, it says chavruta or mituta. Chavruta means either you have chavruta, then you have life, or mituta, God forbid, you don't have chavruta, you have the opposite. Mituta is, yeah. It's like you're going to start jogging. So if we do it together, I need to now excuse, not just give excuse to myself, I have to give excuses to you also why I didn't come today. So it makes it more difficult.
But that's why some people have trainers for exercise, because otherwise they'll never do
They
it.
never come. Not that they need a trainer to tell them how to lift it, but they already know they need someone to be there.
And they have to pay money, so we might as well earn it or whatever.
איש את רעהו יעזור ולאחיו יאמר חזק. Hashem made it. It says when two Jews come together, it's one animalistic soul against two godly souls. Each one has a godly soul, or two godly souls are coming together to battle, to combat one animalistic soul. And therefore we're stronger, we have a capability of winning it.
So Rabbi is a personal trainer of Neshama Be'emet. That's it.
Sorry, man. Thank you.
You have to be...
So we're working out with it.
yeah, so anyway.